we're going to create a React app from scratch. Once again, there is a static version already made that has the markup and CSS in it, so we don't have to start completely from scratch with that. But we will actually keep that in a separate repository instead of putting it in the same repository as our React app. So on the Extreme Bootcamp 2018 Session 2 GitHub page, there's a new repo called Chat Static, where you can see this thing. Click on the GitHub Pages link, and you'll see it looks something like this, very much like Slack. So we're going to make something that looks like that. So that's just regular old HTML and CSS. And we're going to make the Slacky version of it, or the React-y version of it. So we need to create a new thing. So again, go to your XTBC folder, up a level from Dwarf Underground, because it'll be a whole separate repo and all that stuff. And we're going to create a new one. And this may take a minute on your machines, but we're going to use create React app. So to do that, we type create-react-app. And then the name of our project, I'm going to call it Chatarang, because why not? And that'll take a moment. So let's look at create React app. github.com/Facebook/create React app. I'll go ahead and throw a link to this in chat. So, like React itself, this is an official project from Facebook. So you know it is from the actual authors of React itself. And it is designed to let you get started quickly with React without having to do a whole bunch of configuration. Because as we mentioned, you need an actual build process for this. Like compiling. You're not compiling down to machine code, of course, or even bytecode. You're just going from a superset of JavaScript to actual JavaScript. But still, there's a whole process for that that's scripted, and it takes a bit to configure it. So this is pre-configured with a very typical configuration that's pretty good. So we start with that. And this README, you'll notice, is pretty thorough. There's a lot of documentation here. It's all very good. I do recommend perusing it sometime. And then you'll find the user guide, which is quite long and has a very long table of contents that has all kinds of stuff about the folder structure, what scripts are included, what browsers are supported, support in text editors, etc. So at some point, it's worth your time to kind of glance through that. Another nice thing is that user guide will be your README in your new project that you create with Create React App. So once that command is finished running, it will automatically run yarn install. So you'll have all the dependencies installed in a node modules folder. And it tells you inside that directory you can run several commands: yarn start, yarn build, yarn test, and yarn eject. Why can you do those? Well, let's open up our new project in code. Don't forget to change into the new directory.
What happens when our code command doesn't work? What do we have to do with that?
If you open up code manually, you may be able to do Shift Command P and type shell and select the one that says shell command, install code command and path. Let me ask you this. Did you actually put Visual Studio Code in your applications folder, or did you leave it in downloads?
I think I put my applications folder.
Okay. Because another common reason for this is not being in the application folder. But if you open up code and just open up that folder in code, you'll be fine. So you notice node modules is already there. If you look at package.json, it's very similar to what we had in the last project. We have React, React DOM, and React scripts as our dependencies. And then we have the script section down here. So that is the list of commands we can type, like yarn start, yarn build, yarn test, and yarn eject. Start, build, test, eject. So this little script section tells us commands that we can use with yarn on the command line. Start starts the development server. We've used that before. Build bundles the app into static files for production. In other words, it does the actual final compilation and actually puts the compiled version in a separate directory so you can deploy it for real. Yarn test runs unit tests and whatever other tests you might have, end-to-end tests, whatever, which we're not going to have time to get into in this class. Eject removes this tool and copies build dependencies, configuration files, and scripts into the app directory. If you do this, you can't go back. What that means is Create React App makes life easy by hiding all the configuration files for things like Babel and the build system, which is Webpack. And it's kind of nice not having to worry about those. But if you need to customize those for any reason, you won't be able to continue using Create React App. You will have to run this eject script so that the configuration files are actually exposed. The downside of that is you can't just go in here and like increase the version of React scripts to get a new version of Create React App. You're going to have to start managing the dependencies yourself manually. But we shouldn't need to do anything that complicated. So here we have a brand new app that has nothing but a new Create React app in it. I'm going to go ahead and hit yarn start to make sure I see that default Create React App page. That looks like the other one did. So I have it. We're good. So before I do anything else, I'm going to go ahead and at least make a new repository. Again, the development server is monopolizing my terminal window, so I'll open a new one. Make sure I'm in the same folder and initialize a new Git repository there with our old friend Git init. That initializes an empty Git repository. We want to commit everything that's there except what's already in git ignore, which includes node modules. So I will say initial commit with create React app. But I have no place to push to, right? I have a commit, but no remote repository. No problem. I'll create one. New repository called Chatarang. Create repository, copy the familiar 2 lines to add our origin and to push. When those commands are finished, I refresh the page and I see my files. And notice, yeah, the README is actually the user guide for Create React App, which is kind of a handy default and very, very long.